Our speaker this morning is Andres Arevalo. Andres is a 3-year boarding student from Colombia. He is head prefect, captain of the varsity boys squash team, and the proud roommate of Andres Villarreal. Andres?
Good morning. I have a disclaimer to make. If we say a number of words, I will stop and say a number in Spanish so my parents over there can follow along. First, I think it's important that I answer some of the questions you may have. Yes, I have makeup on. Yes, I'm wearing a skirt. Yes, I have my nails painted. And yes, I am the sexiest speaker you have ever seen up here. If you have ever been close to me or have had to experience my difficult to follow storytelling, you're probably expecting one of my dramatic experiences created by the circumstances of my life or my status in the States. Maybe when I ran away from corrupt cops, when I was held at gunpoint, or the hundreds of times I get stopped at the airport because of my Colombian passport. Although those stories contributed to make me the person I am now, today I will be speaking about an event that I chose to be put through, instead of one that I had no control over. I firmly believe that we are conditioned by the life that we're exposed to, but it is our actions or reactions that create our character. So, hopefully in a short amount of time, I will tell you a couple of stories. You'll make your decision of whether there's something decent to get out of this talk, and we'll get out of here. Let's start with the classic chapel talk dramatic dialogue. In the middle of one of my squash practices during last year's H term, an adult looked at me, very strangely, and stopped me while I was trying to get on court. After pointing out my hand, he said, "What's that on your nails?" To which I said, as sarcastic as I could, "Nail polish," which he obviously knew. Nevertheless, after I responded, he looked deep into my ass and asked me why. And asked me why. No, why do you paint your nails? Just why? Without giving him an answer, I just walked back into the court, but the question remained in my head. I wanted to say, why not? My life, but that seems too cliche for a teenager to say. What I really wanted to say, as Kanye once said, my life is dope. I do dope stuff. But that would have not been exactly appropriate. The question remains, though, of why I paint my nails. Now we can start with the actual beginning. Ever since I was a kid, I've never really seen or understood the long-established boundaries between gender clothing, accessories, or appearance. I've always seen all of those as universal, and that has landed me in many women's store aisles. However, even if I wanted to buy or wear any of those objects, it would have been impossible for me in Colombia. Colombia is a predominantly Catholic and conservative country, in which if any person gets a foot outside of the established boundaries, they get shamed, attacked, exiled, and in some extreme cases, killed. Thus, any of those desires of using certain accessories were just some faraway thoughts, and I became really used to that idea, until the point that it never really bothered me. I believe most of us, not all of us here, have experienced the same situation, in which not being ourselves is what we know as normal, until it completely erases who we are or who we wanted to become. Thus, a couple of years back, I became interested in how it would look like with my nails painted. It was prompted by an upgrowing trend of men painting their nails, especially famous ones along the lines of Bad Bunny and Pete Davidson. I would never do it, at least not at home. When I came to Hill, I thought of painting them here, and although I've never really cared about what people think about me, I was afraid of what I would put myself through. Many months went by, and as I did before, I forgot about it, so I would fit in at Hill, especially since I was already feeling like an outsider. Nevertheless, after enduring fifth form's fall term, I went home pissed, mad that I had given so much of myself into things that I barely cared about, while I could not even fathom the idea of expressing myself or being who I wanted to be. So I painted my nails when I got home. Even though it was the first time and there was only one color available to me, I loved it. And I think I look good when I paint my nails, although I must admit that I've had some questionable colors. It has been very good, and it has felt relieving. It's odd how something so small made me feel like I was finally myself. It feels like I've been doing it all my life, to the point that sometimes I forget that I even have them painted. Maybe that's the reason why. Sometimes when people give me the looks or stare into my hands, I get really confused. And then I remember, I have my nails painted. Although it's been good, it has also been a peculiar social experiment. The first time that I painted them, I did not leave my house for 3 days in fear that something would happen to me. On the third day, I took them off and did not paint them until I arrived for H-term. Knowing my country and its people, I was fully expecting something terrible to happen if I even hinted that I had my nails painted. It is awful, but some part of me understands that it's the way most people were raised in Colombia, to despise change. However, what I did not expect was to receive backlash for my decision in the States or in Europe, places which I thought were much more progressive than the place I was raised in. I turned out to be wrong. I got thrown out of McDonald's, followed in a train, and obviously my fair share of weird looks, faces of disgust, distancing of acquaintances, losing of respect, and many, many, many why questions. I think the easiest way to answer the question why is very simple. Because life is painful enough to refuse pursuing feeling comfortable, feeling like yourself, and looking dope while at it. Then, and Mr. Dahlhoff would like this phrase, we only have one thing left to prove. Why is it important to feel like yourself? Tres. Take, for example, where you're new to a class, or even better, a situation that I have passionate hatred for, group projects. Usually, you're assigned with people that you don't know, that you don't combine with, or if you have a similar luck as mine, people that you've had problems recently. During that group project, you're not comfortable with the group you're with. You probably won't be comfortable expressing like you usually do, and you won't be comfortable sharing your thoughts. If both of those things occur, communication is killed, and no one feels prompted to think thoroughly, exchange ideas, or take action, leading to a terrible project performance. Trust me. I could not even count the number of times that has happened to me. So hopefully now you agree with me that if you don't feel comfortable with yourself in a group project, the outcomes negatively affect them. Now, I want you to imagine a huge awkward group project with thousands of people tasked with very diverse and complex goals. That's exactly what our communities are like. And the same way as the group projects does, most of our members, due to their characteristics, likes, thoughts, and beliefs, don't feel comfortable in being who they really are or who they want to be. I feel that way a lot of the time. And if we're not comfortable, we're not going to be able to be the best we can, which will negatively impact the outcome of our community. Even if you're one of those people who only care about productivity and does not care about being comfortable with themselves, you might want to rethink how one affects the other. The only way we can better our community is to take our disguises off and stop following those who preach and advocate for progress while trying to keep people engraved in boxes with specific characteristics. Until we break that trend, human evolution will plateau. I never met my grandfather. He died long before I was born. Males in my bloodline have frequently encountered their last day with murder. Same as me, his name was Andres. For many years, I never really thought about it, but for long, it has bothered me that I never even had the chance to talk to him. Nevertheless, the reason why he was murdered is also the reason that I'm up here today. He defended his beliefs. He was true to himself. And most important of them all, he decided that he was not going to be thrown around by others who wanted to impose limits on him, use him to bring evil into his community, or tell him what he could or could not do. I'm not attempting to make him a martyr, but he managed to provide a very community for his family. In a weird way, it gives me calm that that's what he died for. It makes me proud of having his name. It makes me wish that I could live in a world full of people like him. Cuatro. I wish the world was like that, where we could all express ourselves and be who we are while we're not affecting anybody else. That's our job. Even if your goal is to stray far from human inclusion, this is the first step in developing a better society, which will undoubtedly bring progress. I want anyone to wear what they feel themselves, to do their makeup, to paint their nails, to shop in any aisle of the store, to walk through the streets without having to wonder why people are staring at them, to wear a t-shirt, pants, blazer, rings, earrings, bracelets, shorts, accessories, or skirts without having to fit into any exact gender. I want to live in a world where I don't get asked why I decide to express myself in my appearance, where I don't get looked at if I act different of how I'm supposed to, where I don't have to ask permission to wear this skirt. 5. Today, I'm going to have to be the annoying speaker and ask something of you. Go back to your room tonight, when you're laying in bed, letting your brain run free. Think about my beautiful voice. And think about what I said today. I want you to reflect on what parts of your identity, your habits, what you talk about, and the way you express yourself feel like your true self, and which have just been created by the pressure for the need to fit in, to not generate trouble, or to be who you think other people want you to be. But I don't want you to just think about it. I want you to change them. Actually, I need you to change them. I'm tired of all of these talks that say the same thing. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be yourself. No, you have to be yourself. It's required. The same way your friends need it, the same way your family needs it, your teammates need it, your classmates, your mentors, your significant others, your communities, and most importantly, those who come after you. When we all do that, we can start building up a better place. And maybe very far than our successors, the world will be a good place for all to live. When I'm old and wrinkly and I can barely move my body, I will see the new generations be truly good, truly happy, and truly at peace. That's why I paint my nails. Thank you.